the Cowboy alumni, especially the two most recent alums, have been making some noise on the PGA Tour here lately. So we'll probably branch into that. But we're joined now by the Vice President of Athletics and Athletics Director at Oklahoma State, Coach Mike Holder. And Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Robbie, doing okay?
Yeah, she was pretty fired up yesterday. The Women's Golf Association out of Lakeside had their annual match play tournament, and she won it. She gets her name on a plaque. Oh, she's so fired up about that.
That's good. That's good. It's good to hear that somebody's getting to participate and win in sports. I think we'd like to see a whole lot more of that. So congratulations to her. I know
We,
how avid she is about that golf. She likes getting out there.
oh, she loves to play golf, and I guess the one good thing, if there is any, about that virus has been golf courses. Lakeside, she tells me it's packed every day, and what a I mean, you couldn't find a better sport to be participating in for social distancing and all the health benefits of being outdoors. So hopefully it's been as good at Lakeside as she tells me it's been, and she sure enjoyed playing with all her friends out there. For her, golf is it's a competitive activity, but more importantly, it's a social activity.
Well, and I know my compadre Dave Hunziker's had time to get out on the golf course, and I know that makes him happy. And so he was telling me the other day about his latest round out there. Says the only thing different is it's one to a cart. Social distance. You can't do that with two people in a cart, but as long as there's plenty of carts out there, then or you can just walk it.
Well, I was
That's
going to
always
say golf is meant to be walked, not ridden. It should be a rule. You can't get in a golf cart unless you have a handicap.
that course you helped design out there is a tough walk. I've done it during the NCAA tournament. I think that walk wears a lot of golfers down. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I used to have a rule when I was coaching that as long as you had eligibility, you couldn't get in a golf cart. And once you graduated, you wanted to come back, then you could get in a golf cart. And I'd always hoped that no one would ever take us up on that offer to get in a cart. They would still toe the line and pack their own gear and pick up their own practice balls and be old school about it. And so far, I don't think anyone's taken on that challenge. They all opt for the cart.
Since we're on the subject of golf, I was going to ask you this question anyway. Let me throw it at you. The two most recent alums that came out of Oklahoma State last weekend, it was Victor Hovland was right there in contention. I mean, he was close. In fact, he had a great start, I thought, on Sunday, and then things kind of went south on him in the back nine. But your young golfers have been making a lot of noise on the tour.
Yeah, they've been doing great. The thing that really gratifies me, though, is the member of that outstanding graduating class or class that came onto the tour at the same time, Colin Morikawa from Cal.
Yes.
And I give it up to him because he stayed all 4 years. He got his degree from Cal. He was patient. He embraced college golf and all that meant for his education and his maturity. And I think it's paid dividends for him out there on the PGA Tour. And I think I'm going to use that as an example to point to when these youngsters, no matter what sport it is, they're in a big hurry to get out there in the real world and start playing that sport for a living when they should be cherishing that time in college. There's nothing like it. You can never get it back. It's the greatest time of your life. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned in a college setting that you'll never learn on the PGA Tour. And just wait till you're a little bit more mature about it, and then you'll be ready to handle the rigors of the PGA Tour. Phil Mickelson's another great example of a player that finished his college eligibility, even though he already had won a PGA Tour event and could have gone out there with a full exemption. He chose to come back for his senior year at Arizona State and complete his education, get that degree. And then Scott Verplank did the same thing back in 1985,
Right.
won a PGA Tour event, turned down all the money and all the fame and glory, and came back to try to win the team championship, not the individual. And unfortunately, we came up short on that. I'll never forget that victory stand or that trophy ceremony at the end of that championship when he won the individual title, but we didn't win the team, and he was just distraught, beside himself. It was the saddest victory speech for an individual probably in the history of the championship. So I give it up to Colin Morikawa for setting a great example for all these other youngsters.
I remember I was at Channel 4 back in those years with Scott. In fact, when he won the Western on the PGA Tour, that afternoon I was in your house talking to you and Robbie after Scott won that PGA event while he was still a collegian. So of course Scott came out of my high school, and his brother Robert was a friend of mine, a little older than Scott. Um, let's branch over into the other stuff. And I was actually on vacation when you and Chad wrapped up the internal investigation, had the Zoom conference with the media. We were distanced from that a couple of weeks now. Any part of that changed, or any more observations uh, with regards to that and how Oklahoma State football is moving forward?
Well, I'll pay a compliment to our head football coach. He's backed up everything he said he was going to do, and I think he's met with every single player by now, and I think he'll continue to do that on a daily basis. And I think the summer conditioning going about as well as you could expect. We've had some positive tests, and we've dealt with those according to the procedures we set up. And I feel that we're very, very fortunate to have this task force led by Chad Weiberg and our internal team, Dr. Ivan on our staff, and then Oklahoma Health Sciences in Tulsa and Dr. Casey Schrum and Johnny Stevens over there, all that crew. They've been magnificent. They've come over and staffed up, helped us staff up to do all the testing. We're into surveillance testing now, but it's prepared us to deal with the positive tests which we expected, and I think I've really been satisfied with how that's all gone. And under the circumstances, I think this transition into voluntary, and this week it's into mandatory conditioning, and you can also have some interaction with the coaching staff. Everything's trending positively on our campus, and our commitment is we want to play every game in every single sport for 2021. That's our goal. We're not planning on compromising from that, and hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed, we're able to follow through on that commitment. And also, I'll qualify that with saying we'll continue to listen to our task force and the recommendations of our health professionals, and we'll listen to the guidance from the governor's office on down and from all the state and national protocols and experts as to how to deal with the virus. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be around here for a while, and we need to learn to live with it. And we can all do our part, which is put a mask on out of respect for those around you, prepare, socially distance, wash your hands. I think if we all do that, then we can all contribute to getting control, or I guess you're never going to control this, but learn to deal with it better and get back to more a sense of normalcy. I think that's what all of us crave, whether it's in college athletics or just normal life.
Yeah, I'm not the most technologically sound person. I'm still learning, but I do have the TPT phone here, which is where we get text from the audience. And one of my favorites, who is North DFW, so he's coming to us from down there, says Coach Holder needs to have that stay 4 years talk with Cade Cunningham. that's that's the kind of stuff I get here all the time, Coach.
I don't know. It's not the craziest idea I've heard in the last 6 months. Who would have thought he was going to honor his commitment and come to Oklahoma State after that after the NCAA handled down that postseason ban?
That's true, and that was good news. Just like the other day, and I know you can't talk about commitments, but Oklahoma State got a commitment from a young man in the Houston area, a receiver whose father played at Texas A&M in the NFL, and he's a terrific player. And I thought that was a good turning of the tide because I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I had this discussion with a staff member. There are a lot of reasons you want to play football this fall. I mean, we know the financial ramifications, and I love Jamie Pollard's letter to the Iowa State fans, and ironically, those were many of the same things you talked about in the spring that Jamie had in his letter. And then, of course, return closer to normalcy, like you were just talking about. But from an Oklahoma State standpoint, changing the narrative because the media really, I thought, really attacked what was going on here in the month of June, and getting that commitment the other day helps kind of turn that tide. That was some good news. And I know you can't comment on that, but to see some success in recruiting, because I think that's where a lot of the news in June was going to impact the football program the most, is in that area.
Well, the good news is the media, a lot of people just ignore them. And the only thing that really matters is how your current athletes feel about their experience at Oklahoma State University. And if they're positive about it, that'll resonate with the coaches and the recruits around the country. And at the end of the day, that carries the water when it comes to recruiting.
You were in the Big 12 athletic directors meeting on Tuesday this week, and I know they've since postponed the Big 12 virtual media days. In fact, I just got word this morning Commissioner Bowlesby is going to be on with us Monday. But how would you assess the mood and the discussion from Tuesday with you and your fellow Big 12 athletic directors?
Our intent is to play football and try to play, or we're focused on playing 12 games. And until we're told to do otherwise by the health experts out there, and really are faced with no choice other than to do something different, our focus is on playing 12, getting ready to play 12. Uh, right now, we only have 11 on our schedule, so we'll need to figure out who can fill the void left by the decision by the Pac-12 and Oregon State not being able to honor their commitment or obligation to play that September 3rd game in Stillwater. But I'm confident we'll come up with a worthy opponent and we'll be ready to play 12 games. I know when I went out and watched our football team condition this morning, it looked to me they were getting ready to play football.
Well, and you've got Chad Weiberg, who I think's done a really good job in shaping up the future football schedule since he came on board as deputy athletic director, and I'm sure he's on this. I read in the media today. Of course, I've seen the list of available schools out there, and BYU is getting a lot of attention. You got some good connections over there because they've had a pretty good golf program.
Well, who do you want to play?
I think BYU would be excellent, but right now, if you gave me my first choice, it's not a home game, which I know we'd like to have a home game, but Alabama lost SC down at Jerry's World, and I'm one to think, like you said, watching the guys this morning condition. I think this has the potential to be an exceptional Oklahoma State football team, and if Nick Saban's not afraid, I'd like to see the Cowboys and the Tide play in Arlington to open the season.
Do you think we've thought about that?
I'm sure you have, Coach. You guys, everybody over in that building's a lot smarter than I am.
No, we're
So
not. No, we all have the same interests and same priorities. So I would say that all options are on the table. You have to be a little apprehensive given what the Big Ten and the Pac-12 has already done, going just conference only, and you're not sure what all those Group of Five conferences are going to do. They may do something similar, especially as these guaranteed games start to dry up. And then you've got the same issues out there with the FCS. Um, they probably could move to the spring maybe with less complications than you could do that at the FBS level. I don't know. So when you get ready to pick up whoever this replacement opponent's going to be, you need to also weigh in that factor of how certain are you that that opponent will definitely be available come September 3rd or September 5th. And I'm hopeful that our league will continue to play all 12 games in non-conference, and I'm hopeful that the SEC will follow suit and the ACC, but you just don't know. There's a lot of pressure out there, some of it justified, some of it maybe not so, to try to compress the season. But I just have a hard time understanding how all non-conference games are the same. It's one thing to cancel some of those non-conference games, but when you have a non-conference game with a fellow A5 member and have all the same testing protocols and all the same travel, you got the advantage of charter flights and things. I just think a few of these decisions are premature, but that's easy for me to say. But I don't have all the information at my disposal, and I've got enough challenges on my plate just making decisions related to the Big 12 and in particular Oklahoma State University, and it's far be it from me to criticize anybody else's decisions that are being made. And we're in unprecedented times. Who would have dreamed that we could be dealing with all the complications since the cancellation of the Big 12 basketball tournament and all the spring sports and March Madness and everything that's happened since then, all the dominoes that have fell in response to that. Unprecedented times, and not just in college athletics, but for our country. So I'm concerned about Oklahoma State athletics, but I'm more concerned about our country and the consequences of what's happened in the last 5 months and then what the future looks like.
Yeah, I think you said that well. Last thing, because we've had a couple of questions sent in, and I want to get to the listeners' questions, and I think we can do these pretty quick. One of our listeners said he enjoyed Jamie Pollard's letter, noticed that he mentioned debt service of around $10 million. Is OSU's number that high?
No, ours is about 6.5 maybe.
Okay, that's easy. And then this person, I'm going to lump this all together. This person is a season ticket holder in football and basketball, has seats around the 50-yard line in football, mid-court in basketball, and wonders if, and I told him, I just hope he gets in the stadium and the arena. But if he has to move from his prime seat locations to another location, will there be compensation for that? You can kind of address, the amenities or the customer service that you plan with your season ticket holders. I'm going to say this because I've had this conversation with Larry Reese, who's your senior associate athletic director for giving for fundraising. Uh, if we don't have a football season, and I'm fortunate, I haven't been hurt real badly by the pandemic from an economic standpoint. I told Larry the other day, not only can you keep my season ticket, but I'll make a check out and more than double it. And because and now not everybody can do that. I understand that some people have been hurt financially greatly by this, but I would encourage anybody who has the wherewithal to let the athletic department just take it over as a donation for your season tickets for this year. If the unthinkable and the unimaginable happens that we don't get to play. So as far as ticket, moving seats, all that, what can you update us on that?
Well, we're gonna go by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So you can assure that your listeners that we will treat them just like we would want to be treated, and we'll make the absolute best of an unfortunate situation. and do the best we can for everyone. And I really, really appreciate that unsolicited commercial to donate your tickets if by just for some reason we're not allowed to have fans in the stadium. I can't imagine that if it's safe enough to play games that we wouldn't allow people to come in the stadium, but that decision won't be made by me. That's above me. It's either at the state level or with the president of the university on our campus. But what people need to understand is football carries our whole athletic department. It provides for every single athlete in every single sport. It's probably conservatively 80 or 85% of our revenue. And our commitment for this coming year, even if we don't play football, is to honor every scholarship of every single athlete, for those that are committed to, but also those that got their season cut short last spring, all those seniors that want to come back and take another shot at it this year. We're going to honor all those scholarships. We're going to keep our coaching staffs in place. We're going to continue to practice and train, and hopefully that we're allowed to play the games, because that's the most fun part of all this. And we're just another facet of our university. We're educating student athletes just like the students are being educated over on campus. And I look at our mission over here is to augment the educational process with intensive training on leadership. And every one of those athletes, in my mind, they're going to be a leader in their community and society and the world. And through each one of those individual lives, we hope to make the world a better place to live in. And so we're going to fulfill our mission somehow, some way, even if we don't have the revenue from football. So absolutely, we need everybody, given whatever financial circumstances they're experiencing, if they can allow us to keep those ticket revenue, thank you. We'll turn it into a donation, and they'll get credit as a donor and also for income tax purposes. And hopefully we can keep the doors open for another year. And hopefully this time next year we'll be a lot more optimistic and a lot less pessimism out there in the world around the opportunity or the chances for playing college football or any other sport.
Coach, I appreciate it, and again, I think you're going to have a lot of cooperative people. If the unthinkable happens, I think people understand how important it is to keep Oklahoma State athletics going as well as it possibly can during a time like that. And so I think you'll have plenty of people that want to pitch in. So
Well,
again,
at the end of the day, Robert, and I'll butt in.
Yeah.
You know, we're all blessed to live in Stillwater, and we're blessed to have a great university in our community and have the things that it stands for and has stood for centuries. And we can be proud of the fact that we're cowboys and that cowboy creed or cowboy ethics or what it means to be a cowboy. And, you know, we could go down the list of what are those things, what those are, do the right thing, you know, all of that. I can't think of them right off the top of my head. So we've got a lot of things to be thankful for. We're really blessed. And I thank my lucky stars every day that I've got a beautiful wife like I do, and I've been blessed to work at Oklahoma State University for as many years as I have. I haven't worked a day in my life, and I can't wait to get out of bed every morning and come to the university. I think I'm 120 days in a row in the office, and I haven't considered one single minute of it work. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to do what I get to do.
I would echo that. I don't think of my job as work either, and the fact I get to be around those young people as much as I do is a treasure. So, Coach, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Go
All
Pokes.
Right,
wear orange.
There you go. Mike Holder, Vice